Hi fellows, in this lecture we shall learn about consumer surplus, producer surplus and social welfare. These are key concepts used to understand the benefits and costs associated with market transactions. We shall first learn about consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is the difference between the price a consumer is willing to pay for a good or service and the actual price she pays. It represents the benefit consumers receive from purchasing a product at a lower price than they are willing to pay. Graphically, consumer surplus can be shown as the area under the demand curve and above the market price line. In figure, price is measured along the vertical axis and quantity is measured along the horizontal axis. The demand curve slopes downward, reflecting that consumers will buy more of a good as its price decreases. The supply curve slopes upward, indicating that producers are willing to supply more of a good as its price increases. Equilibrium in the market is achieved at the intersection point of demand and supply curve, which is E. In figure, equilibrium price is P star and equilibrium quantity is Q star. Equilibrium price and quantity are also known as market clearing price and quantity, as at the equilibrium price, there is no excess demand or excess supply. The demand curve of a consumer reflects her willingness to pay. For example, for Q1 amount of the product, the consumer is willing to pay P1 price. You see, for Q1 amount of the product, the price a consumer is willing to pay is P1. On the other hand, the market clearing price is P star. It is the price that a consumer actually pay. The gap between these two prices, that is the gap between P star and P1, is the consumer surplus, which is equivalent to AB. Hence, consumer surplus is AB. Now, if the product is perfectly divisible, for equilibrium quantity Q star, consumer surplus will be the area between demand curve and price line up to Q star. That is, consumer surplus will be the area of the triangle EFP star. In the same way, we can describe the producer surplus. Producer surplus is the difference between the amount a producer is paid for a good or service and the minimum amount she is willing to accept to produce it. It represents the benefit producers receive from selling a product at a higher price than the minimum they are willing to accept. Producer surplus is shown by the area above the supply curve and below the market price line. Let us turn to the figure. In figure, equilibrium price, that is the market clearing price, is P star and quantity is Q star. Now, the price a producer is willing to accept is shown by the supply curve. For example, for Q1 amount of a product to be sold, the producer is willing to accept the price P2, but he is actually paid the market clearing price P star. Hence, the gap between the market clearing price P star and the price the producer is willing to accept P2 is the producer surplus, which is equivalent to CB. Hence, producer surplus is CV or BC. For a perfectly divisible product, producer surplus for market clearing quantity Q star is measured by the area between supply curve and price line. Thus, in figure, producer surplus for the market clearing quantity Q star is the area of the triangle EGP star. Finally, social welfare. Assuming a perfectly competitive market, social welfare is the sum of consumer surplus and producer surplus. In figure, for market clearing quantity Q star, market clearing price is P star. As we discussed, consumer surplus is the area between demand curve and price line. That is the area of the triangle EFP star. On the other hand, producer surplus is the area between supply curve and price line. That is, producer surplus is the area of the triangle EGP star. Hence, when we sum up consumer surplus and producer surplus to arrive at the social welfare, it means we sum up the area EFP star and area EGP star. They together make the area EFG, which is the social welfare. Social welfare represents the total net benefit to society from the production and consumption of goods and services. Social welfare is maximized when the market is in equilibrium, meaning that there is no deadweight loss. We shall clarify the concept deadweight loss in our next lecture.